You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome into another edition of Inside Automotive right here at the CBT Automotive Network. The Chevrolet National Dealer Council plays a critical role in shaping the dialogue between General Motors and its dealers, from balancing EV inventory to ensuring the financial health of the dealer network. Today we're getting an update on how the dealer network is navigating today's headwinds. Here now is Andy Guelcher, who's the president of Mohawk Chevrolet and chairman of the Chevrolet National Dealer Council. Thank you, Andy, for joining us once again here on the show.
Certainly, Jim.
Sure. So how are things first and foremost at Mohawk Chevrolet?
Things are good. Things are good at Mohawk Chevrolet here in upstate New York. It's been a pretty good year thus far, and I think we got some tailwinds here going into year end. So pretty positive and optimistic about how we're going to finish here.
Are you ahead or behind this time last year?
Ahead substantially.
Really?
Ahead this time last.
Oh.
Yeah, up about just shy of 40% in new car sales and just shy of 30% in used car sales, and our fixed operations is following suit, obviously. So it's been a very, very good year.
That's great. That's great to hear. So let's jump right in here. What are the biggest pressures that Chevy dealers are facing right now? What kind of calls are you getting, and what kind of things are you guys discussing?
There's a lot of uncertainty around the federal credit going away and kind of what the cadence for factory building is going to be of EVs, and then distribution of EVs, and how that's going to pair with the different states where the regulation still exists to some extent with state level credits, and then balancing all of that. I think there's a lot of questions there. I know that Chevrolet is working very, very hard to try and get to a point where they're able to communicate with the general dealer body about what the strategy is going to be and how we're going to go forward. But I can tell you this. The investments that have been made, Jim, at the OEM level are so incredibly substantial that regardless of federal support, we're going to march on. We're going to keep going, and I think there's some great products in the pipeline and great products that we currently have on the ground. So there's going to be some speed bumps, I think, a little bit.
Okay.
But I think we'll figure out how to get to where we need to go, and I think it's going to be just fine.
Okay. And how are EV sales at your particular dealership?
So we're up about 25%.
Okay.
And a lot of that has to do, I believe, with the credit going away.
Right.
And I think people are kind of rushing in to take advantage of a substantial savings. It really, truly is. So you're getting, some more adoption in the market. I think it's not all organic. A lot of it is driven by the 7500. But again, we're going to see what happens at the end of September when that goes away.
Right. Yeah. That'll be the determining factor there. As a dealer, do you look to replace those vehicles one for one? Thinking that, well, we're not going to have the $7,500, or do you then dial back the EV orders?
So we're being strategic about the price point that we're trying to replace it with. What we found for us in our market, our sweet spot is that sub 40 price point, and an affordable EV that really solves for a lot of the issues that still exist from an affordability standpoint, and really can help drive a little bit of incremental volume on top of that. So we're trying to be very conscientious in replacing it with the correct price point vehicle, which we're finding is at the lower end of that spectrum.
Right. And as we know, the crossover, I should say, the hybrid EVs are doing much better than a full EV, right? I mean, that seems to be kind of the bridge that's going to get us to an all EV environment one day, if that ever truly happens, right?
Yeah. I think that your biggest problem is still the infrastructure in most states. You simply do not have the infrastructure to be able to charge all these cars at the scale that the OEMs would like to sell them at. Right. That will come together eventually. It's just going to take some time. But I will tell you, a lot of the people that I speak to, a lot of the dealers I speak to, they're not considering 2 to 3 years from now, regardless of infrastructure, these leases are coming back. So there's going to be a large percentage of the used vehicle market that's going to be EV, whether you like it or not. It's going to somewhere. These cars will end up somewhere. And I think there's opportunity baked in there a little bit, because I think you have very soft residual values for all the aforementioned reasons that we just discussed.
Sure.
And I think there's going to be opportunity for some great affordable options in that used EV space in the next 2 to 3 years.
Sure. Is it difficult to put the right number on a trade if it's an EV today, not really knowing what kind of a role the loss of the tax credit, whether it be on used or new, will play? I mean, you could be $4,000 high or $4,000 low in the car, either way, right?
Yeah. I think you got to be cautious, but certainly I would say cautiously optimistic. It shouldn't be a deal prevention mechanism, right? You got to still figure out how to put that deal together, but it is absolutely at the forefront of every conversation we have when we're discussing our used car inventories and EVs within them. So yeah,
and then you don't want to turn around and have 60% of your used car inventory EVs, when in reality you're not
probably not the strategy we're looking to deploy right now. Absolutely.
So talk to us about used cars. Obviously, every dealer out there is struggling with how do we source used cars? What are you doing to source used cars, and is it working?
So we have a few different tactics that we utilize. Some we do pretty well, and some we could improve at. But some of the things that we do well is we have a good service drive exchange process. I know many dealers do that. And we're pulling about 20 to 30 a month out of our service drive, and I think there's upside there.
Wow, 20 to 30. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I would say we're average there. We're about average based on our RO count. So we do a pretty good job with Kelley Blue Book, the instant cash offer tool, and acquiring stuff off the street. And again, we're really trying to get to a point where we are actively engaging customers, similar to a way a CarMax or a Carvana would do, with the right level of digital advertising. And that's really the campaign. We're not trying to sell you a car. We just want to buy your car, and we want to make it as easy as possible.
Sure.
That's becoming harder and harder to do because the tools are becoming more prevalent for dealers, and many dealers are getting better at it.
Yeah.
So I think the competitive advantage becomes, what programs does your OEM have to support either certified or some type of certified sales, on your lot? In our case, it's Car Bravo that General Motors has. And one of the biggest competitive advantages within that program is the fact that we're able to advertise subsidized rates on non-GM product. For example, if the Toyota dealer down the street does not have a CPO program on Camry, but we have that within the Car Bravo program, and I can say, hey, Toyota Camry, 3.9% for 60 months or whatever the case may be, I now am engaging a shopper that would have probably never considered my store, and certainly never considered Chevrolet, but now I have a crack at that person to maybe buy this car, and then they can be in my data set and my remarketing cadence, and now I can put them in my CDP and maybe have a shot at retaining them for the long term. So those programs become very, very important as we go into what's going to be a smaller used car market.
Yeah, and that's available through the Bravo program?
Car Bravo, yeah, they're doing a very, very good job with that, and we're very high on that program. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Do you guys offer, switching gears a little bit, do you guys offer mobile service in your fixed ops department?
We do, and there's a lot of dealers that have had a really good amount of success with that, and we believe in it.
Okay.
We offer it to almost every customer who would be eligible for that mobile service. We can deploy the van, and we can do tires and brakes and pretty much everything except for heavy duty stuff. And the take rate isn't there yet. We're doing, I would say, 6 to 7 a week out of one van. And I really think that our capacity there is much higher. So we believe in it. We think it's going to be a real thing, and we're putting the resources behind it now to build it for later. But there's dealers out there that are doing unbelievable with it, which tells you that, the market is there.
Yeah, I've spoken to a number of them that they've got 30, 35, 40, 43. The last one was 43, mobile units on the road, and which just blows me away that has grown to that extent, and so many people are having their vehicles worked on, right at their home or office. So there's although I will tell you, those are Ford dealers, and Ford, as you know, has made some real inroads and pushed that mobile service in a big way. Is that the case with GM and Chevy? Are they?
It is. They're really trying to get a push on this and to get dealers to understand this. But I think there's so many examples currently, Jim, of, we talk about meeting the customer where they're at, whether it's sourcing a used car or mobile service. The better that we're able to do that as dealers, the more effective that will become, and the more profitable we will be. So I think that they're a little bit behind the curve as it relates to Ford, because Ford had a pretty good head start on this and is doing, for all intents and purposes, a pretty good job. But I think we'll get there, and I think it's going to be a great product eventually once we settle on this. So for sure.
Before your tenure runs out as chairman, what are some of the things that you want to get accomplished heading up, the council? there anything on your to-do list that you feel passionate about? That
I feel passionate about a lot of stuff, Jim, but there's a couple things. I would say, there's some legacy programs that exist within General Motors, and I think that, they can tend to cause some frustration amongst the dealer body, and certainly some frustration amongst customers, which is, what we're always trying to solve for. So some of the things we're focused on are some of those programs and trying to really make them more user-friendly and certainly more customer-friendly as it relates to us ultimately servicing and selling cars. And I think as we boil those down to what they're supposed to be, we really are starting to see where the opportunities lie, and we're kind of focused on, okay, what can we take away from this to really make it the essence of a customer service-based program that is solely for selling and servicing vehicles and getting to there as quickly as possible for both the dealer and the customer. And we're really starting to make some inroads there, because you get these programs that for years and years and years, you add on and add on and add on. And, the new leadership comes in and they want to make it a little better and they want to make it a little bit better. But you forget about all the underpinnings that were already there. So they become these huge, expansive programs with all kinds of support and resources. And we ultimately are forgetting about the customer who the program was built for to begin with. So focused on a few initiatives like that. Really feel like we're making good inroads. Scott Bell and the team at Chevrolet are really taking the push and embracing this with us. So it's going very well, and I'm very happy with the progress we've made thus far.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So my brother-in-law just bought a Chevy Tahoe because he felt as though he didn't want to get involved in paying those high tariffs. So at some of the competing American made manufacturers, I won't name the name or name the brand, but are you getting some of that now, where customers are coming in thinking that I better buy American, I better nothing more American than Chevrolet and apple pie, right? So are you benefiting from that right now, even though that it might not be totally 100% accurate in some cases, but
I think that I think every OEM was prepared for the eventuality that this is going to consume the masses, and this is all they're going to be looking for. And there was advertising, programs set and ready to deploy on July 4th, and I think it's really fizzled out a little bit. I think that ultimately the OEMs are eating the majority of the tariffs, and there's really no pass-through to the customer.
Right.
There's very little pass-through to the dealer. So I think that it's a sensitive kind of subject, and I think we got to watch it as we go. But right now, I would tell you it's starting to fizzle out a little bit. I think that this the tax credit is going to maybe reinvigorate some of it, but it's not as prevalent as I think everybody would be or was led or would be led to believe.
Yeah, I agree. And the dealers that I'm talking to are saying the same thing, that the whole conversation about tariffs has kind of subsided a little bit in showrooms, and it's not, a couple of months ago they were walking in wanting to know what's the deal with tariffs and how much more is it going to cost, and there was a little bit of a panic in their voice, but not as much today. And as you know, we've interviewed Bernie Moreno here, and he said to me a few months ago in an interview that we're going to look back on the tariffs. It's just going to be a blip on the radar, and a year from now, and this is going back a couple of months, we won't even be talking about it. And maybe he's right about that,
I tend to agree with him.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of positive tailwinds coming from it, and I think we're just starting to realize all the economic things that are happening around it that are a benefit as opposed to a negative, so I think there's a lot of good things that are going to come from it and will continue to come from it. And I think we are going to look back on this and say, hey, this really wasn't as big as everybody thought it was going to be.
That's great. So your new car sales are doing good, used car sales, fixed operations, F&I PVR is strong. Is there anything that keeps you up at night about the industry or the store?
I sleep pretty well, Jim, overall, but there's what keeps me up really is there's so much opportunity really in all of the departments. There's always something you could be doing better. There's always somebody out there who's doing it better than you are. And really what it boils down to for us is how are we zeroed in on the customer experience and interaction on every stop of the train, whether we're doing mobile service, whether you're coming into my service drive, whether you're coming into my showroom, whether we're delivering a car to your house 4 states away, how can we make every stop on that train exceptional? And I think the better we get at that, and the more we focus on that, the better we will become as an organization. So we are really zeroed in on customer experience.
Wow, that's awesome. The very customer focused. Andy Guelcher, President Mohawk Chevrolet, Chairman of the Chevrolet National Dealer Council. and member of the GM Dealer Executive Board, I might add. So that's pretty big time, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Many leather-bound books in my office, mahogany.
That's right. All right, man.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for spending some time with us and,
Yes.
and giving us an update. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Take care.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.